Hey y'all, back with another MOC guide as per usual, this time going over Evil Sam, otherwise officially known as the Harbinger of Death Swarm Disaster. Feel free to skip to whatever timestamps you need in the description or check out this slideshow while you're down there. Alright, let's get straight into things. The MOC Buff this time features a massive SP refund at the start of every wave. Rejoice all you Zero Cyclers, and actually usable buff too! Funny enough, since battles start with 3 SP, and Sparkle, who can raise the SP cap by 2, has a technique to grant 3 more, the only character currently able to farm the full Wave 1 benefit is a Sparkle-less Archer. Emphasis on currently. The Wave 2 benefit sure is nice for everyone though, as that means you're allowed to leave Wave 1 with as little as 1 SP on most teams, and still get refunded to full. Considering how the Dahlia has an SP refund on her light cone, this is probably to offset her E0-S0 performance so that you can temporarily feel her power boost with her SP hungry break partners, without snagging her signature. Much how like the Herta got lots of SP related buffs during her release. There's also Sparkle buffs on the horizon to think about, so keep that in mind as well. If a +4 refund every wave wasn't enough to convince you to run SP hungry teams though, the MOC cycle damage gains 1 tick of max HP damage per SP consumed. Funnily enough, this could technically make Firefly's E1 and above a nerf, as it means less SP consumed from her, but considering how easily she wallops this MOC with Dolly's assistance, it's a non-issue. The damage ticks do a good chunk of damage to mobs, which are especially helpful at killing off Dark Sam's sting summons, or if you're able to leave it alone, up to 22.5% of its max HP is pretty sweet as well. The nice thing about this damage help is that it's pretty front-loaded thanks to the cross-wave SP refund, giving you the highest amount of damage early, aka when you need it the most. Expect progress to slow down a bit after the first cycle for this same reason though. The closest comparison I have to Dark Sam is probably Flame Reaver. Bulky summons you need to kill in order to prevent the main boss from restoring its HP, just with added perks for break on top this time. As such, the priority is killing the summons, especially since killing one sting makes it easier to kill the others in succession due to their AoE death damage and vuln. Additionally, this means that AoE damage to kill the summons, followed by single target damage to focus down Dark Sam, is ideal. While this seems like a weird damage check to satisfy, do remember that modern AoE units have pretty good single target capabilities, and single target DPS have an easier time killing each successive sting thanks to the constantly stacking vuln, evening the playing field a bit when it comes to sting swatting speed. Also, Phynon and Axa exist with their easily adjustable AoE into single target damage profiles, and technically Cypher too. With Dark Sam having 190.08 speed and advancing a character of your choice on the first turn it acts, you can use Action Advance or Delay to your advantage, or detriment. For Action Advancers, 144.5 speed with an instant S5 DDD, or 142.6 speed with an Eagle set, will be enough to outspeed its first turn. As for the delay side, Firefly Zero Cycles will actually opt out of her S1 in order to not instantly slow down the boss by 20%, since they naturally outspeed it anyways. On the other hand, using either RMCs or Cyrene's techniques with their 40% delay will push Sam's first turn down so low that any 114.1 speed or faster unit will act before it. While that's not the full list of speed breakpoints, there are a couple of really interesting ones, like Boot Hill delaying the boss so that it acts really late. These are some handy breakpoints to know if you feel like abusing Sam Day's action advance to its fullest. And speaking of said action advance, be aware that it also puts a taunt on whoever gets advanced by all the true stings, so be prepared to protect whichever DPS gets handed off that handy little lock-on. With this being a boss that hands out 200% break effect for free, punishes multi-crit teams, and massively delays itself on the same order of magnitude as Choir after killing all its stings, yeah, it's an easy win if not an easy zero cycle for any break comp with the Dahlia and her massive AoE support damage. Firefly teams by far have the best matchup, with Phynon and Anaxa teams just behind due to matching up perfectly versus Dark Sam's damage profile. DOT also does excellently, with the Lady of Crashing Waves making Wave 1 a cinch, on top of being unpunished by Dark Sam's anti-crit mechanics for multi-carry teams. While this fight is theoretically the anti-remembrance fight because of all its mechanics, well, similar to King and Check Sunday, they still do way too much damage even with one arm tied behind their back. brute force is no problem at all for them in this current stage. Otherwise, just bring your strong edge damage solutions, preferably with either AoE mixed in, lots of hyper carry single target damage, or both. It's worth noting that Hunt March is pretty capable of matching Boothill's performance here, given you have the vertical support investment to match, since she attacks way more frequently, acting as a perfect partner for the Dahlia, and no longer has to worry about wasting pre-break damage with her massive enhanced basics, all of which is quite important when trying to deal with the super tanky stings. Likewise, break supports make the stage pretty easy as long as the Dahlia is there. Otherwise, you're better off bringing whoever's best in slot for your team. Tribby does lose some value here, but her quantum break damage to slow down the sting's attacks, as well as her classic E1, are still quite powerful here. Even still, Cypher, being equal parts fast SB generator or consumer depending on what you need, and being able to store damage against summons to unleash on the bulky boss, is also working pretty well for this fight. Note that most action advancers here are best in slot specifically with Finon, as otherwise they're mainly just good here for consuming more SP for the MOC buff, if that. Sustain-wise, you can definitely run Sustainless if you can burst down Dark Sam fast enough, but if you aren't able to kill almost 1 million HP stings fast enough, the Nemesis mechanic ensures that they'll burst down whoever you decided to advance, aka most likely your DPS. As such, single target insurance is best, with AoE DPS to help weaken the stings being even better. While Hyacine's damage versus the stings has been practically neutered thanks to the stage mechanics disabling her from critting, she is still quite good at sustaining, being a Bailu Pro Max essentially. Linksha, on the other hand, likes to go for break damage, meaning that in break teams her sub DPS is not touched at all, and the majority of Dan Heng's Soul Dragon's damage scales directly off the DPS, meaning that if you choose a DPS as your nemesis, his Soul Dragons, which contribute damage based on the DPS, will barely see any decrease in damage output. Otherwise, single target focus on the DPS is something that Gallagher and Luocha are both pretty good at sustaining, unlike Fu Xuan and Aventurine, who both struggle at it. Aventurine is a bit better off due to being able to farm wave 1's abundant AoE attacks though, and Luocha is slightly worse off due to not providing any utility other than sustaining. Though, to be fair, if a sustain is all you need, he'll more than get the job done here. Going into the enemy layout itself, both elites in Wave 1 serve to counter lots of small damage procs, between the Winged Serpent, who hits back with AoEs in response to every attack after its first turn. Depleting these AoE attack counts, though, is a pretty good idea to weaken or prevent its following AoE nuke, though, especially since its counterattacks are pretty weak due to built-in corrosion and giving 5-hit energy each time, which is especially abusable if you're playing a Remembrance team that especially loves to farm hits. The next enemy is the returning Lady of Crashing Waves, which notoriously advances itself after every 4 to 5 non-follow-up attacks received, either summoning its Little Mermaids, initiating its 70% damage reduction phase for itself, which also paired with 50% damage reduction for you, where all reduced damage is converted into DOT, or launching a bunch of AoE attacks. Lots of hit energy to go around, but the fight can stall if you're too willy-nilly about properly timing your attacks, advancing it during its turn to reset the attack counter, or timing it right after its turn to advance it again for more DOT procs, are possible forms of counterplay depending on if you can blitz down or need to drag out the fight respectively. And finally, onto Dark Sam. It has the same HP as last MOC's Sam, funny enough, but is faster and has 3 completely different weaknesses in physical, wind, and fire. Its self-break mechanic is also different, breaking itself after killing all 4 stings it summons on its first turn, and not toughness locking itself unlike Sam at the start of phase 2. The break also uniquely delays its action by 200%, similar to the break favorable enemies of version 2 like the Choir and Shell of Fated Rage. But in order to get this 200% action delay, you will need to kill all 4 stings. Regular breaks won't do it. As for the stings themselves, yeah, close to 1 million HP along with 60 toughness is no joke, making them a big damage bottleneck for this fight. The reward for killing them certainly justifies the effort put in, but do note that it's a tough task nonetheless. For Dark Sam's attack patterns, on turn 1 it will perform a single target attack, then boost its speed by 50%, summon 4 stings, and let you select a DPS to be the Nemesis. This nemesis will immediately get a turn, 200% break effect, taunt all the stings that were summoned, and is now the only character capable of dealing crit damage to said stings. All of these conditions, both the good and the bad, will be dispelled upon killing all 4 stings, though the 200% break effect is then replaced by that 200% delay and 50% more vulnerability on Dark Sam, which is a total of 90% if adding up the sting's debuffs on death, which is nice to say the least. Turn 2 has Dark Sam deal another slightly stronger single target attack, and then boost the sting's speed by 20, and turn 3 is a single target attack, followed by a blast attack. Honestly, pretty simple boss once you understand the nemesis mechanics. Just focus down the stings and you should be good to clear this fight. Not only will focusing the stings give you more damage though, but it'll also mean that Dark Sam gets to heal off less of the damage you deal as well. A portion of every attack that it takes will be converted to corrosion HP, being as much as 100% if taking pure single target damage, but decreasing by 20% per sting hit by the same attack, making AoEs only deal 20% corrosion if hitting all 4 stings. Dark Sam also doesn't heal this corrosion HP back until stings attack a total of 4 times, which means that breaking or killing them ASAP is again a good idea. Note that this heal also comes in the form of an immediate AoE attack, where Dark Sam advances its own action, though the attack doesn't really hit that hard. It's mostly annoying for the healing. Speaking of sting attacks, they do their usual spits on the first turn and add an extra action on their second turn where they summon a new sting, if any space is available. Note that these newly spawned stings are not considered Dark Sam summons, so killing Dark Sam, funnily enough, will not cause them to self-destruct. They'll stick around until you actually blow them up directly. And yeah, that's the boss. Overall, this MOC has been a nice breath of fresh air. The Dolly's release has raised the damage floor of a lot of different break units, including some 4 stars like Hunt March, and at the same time, the buff that is paired with it is pretty generically useful and powerful, even if you aren't running units that guzzle SP as fast as Archer does. If that wasn't enough though, the overall HP has actually been lowered compared to last rotation, between Dark Sam having the same HP as regular Sam, and Kokolia's and Branya's collective HP being 500,000 lower than Hule's. On top of that, both Kokolia and Branya are out at the same time, unlike Hule's 2 phases in order, making them even easier to destroy for any blast and AoE units. If I had to guess, the reason for this lower difficulty is probably to promote the break meta, which is why it feels so balanced compared to say something like Mono Remembrance promotions, relatively speaking anyways. Both Kokolia's side and Dark Sam's sides are also extremely hostile to non-Dahlia break teams, but the perfect matchup should you include her. With Branya locking her toughness until Kokolia perishes, as well as instantly letting Kokolia act with her weakness broken state and all their debuffs removed, being able to deal super break damage before breaking the enemy, which, since the weakness broken state doesn't last for very long, is a huge difference maker versus this stage. And versus Dark Sam, without Dahlia, it's hard for me to see a team that has enough AoE break damage to effectively break and destroy the 60 toughness 1 million HP stings without her, and then also deal enough single target to destroy Dark Sam's HP bar afterwards. Plus, the self-inflicted 200% action delay means that you don't need to break delay nearly as much to allow for a constant barrage of super break attacks while Sam is vulnerable. Action delay that Constance conveniently lacks. Similar to this King in Check Septimus boss, Mono Remembrance is by far punished the hardest, but as far as the supposed counter goes, they still farm the ever-living heck out of this stage's Wave 1, and Dark Sam forcing them into a hypercarry playstyle only slows them down, it doesn't stop them. Which, given the Sting's quantum weaknesses, the AoE incentive in this fight, and Remembrance's insane damage output, actually makes the fight fair for them for once. It's nice for the favorite archetype to not absolutely screw over every other option for once, even its supposed worst matchup, and I can only hope that the difficulty stays at this level going forward. Thanks for watching.